What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fit Over 40. I'm your host, Coach Clarence, and I'm really excited about this episode. I'm interviewing someone I have so much respect for and love for, Mrs. Michele Robbins. She is a realtor, a mom, a wife, and just someone that I constantly support everything she does because she's just a positive human being, and we need that in the world these days. So, Michele, if you would just tell everybody who you are and how you got to where you are now, and we'll get into what we're talking about.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Clarence.
Sure.
I am surprised to say this, but I have been selling real estate for 23 years, and it doesn't feel like that because I just love what I do. And, you know, I'm currently with LPT Realty, and I'm the team lead of the elite team. And I have some amazing agents on my team. We're selling real estate in Arizona and in Florida. We're expanding to Tennessee here soon. So it's just really cool to...
Hashtag I'm licensed in Tennessee.
Got the plug in there. So my passion is to be of service and help people because I was that single mom. I was that person who, it wasn't taught to me what you need to do to buy a home. It was just, hey, the American dream is to own your own home. And so I started as a single mom, bought my first home by myself without a realtor. And so I thought to myself, I'm like, well, this is really hard. I don't know what questions to ask. I could have gotten screwed over. So I then turned around and, had my girlfriend who had just gotten her real estate license. And I said, hey, I'm looking to sell my house and buy another house. Can you help me so I know that I have someone in my corner to guide me through this process and help me get the most money for my home and help me find the right home and negotiate all the deals so that I'm getting the best that's possible. And I was so excited that I was doing this as a single mom by myself. And, I felt empowered because I had a realtor in my corner. And that's where everything went sideways.
Yeah.
And so I was absolutely tormented by the fact that my realtor, the first offer that I put in fell apart. The second offer that I put in fell apart. And I thought, well, gosh, is this person really helping me or hurting me?
Right.
And so it came full circle when I found a model home that was a closeout in Gilbert, Arizona. And I thought, well, a model home, I don't have to do anything and it's through the builder, no problem. So I called her up and I said, hey, what about this new home subdivision here? They're doing a closeout. My girlfriend drove by and saw that they are selling this home for $183,000. And, she's like, well, I'll check it out for you. And of course she called me up and she's like, yes, that home's available. We can get that for you. I said, okay, great. So we went over, we took a look at it. I said, yep, let's go ahead and do it. I'm good with everything. And I said, is there anything else that I need to do? She's like, nope. And that was it. I was like, now looking back, I'm like, there's so much more she could have done or at least
Right.
tried to do. But,
Right.
that's a dive deep in later conversation. However, what it did was really sparked my interest to go, okay. So the next thing I noticed is that I didn't see or hear from her again until we did our final walkthrough with the builder just prior to closing. And I said, oh, okay, I guess this is normal. And then I didn't see her again after. I still have not seen her to this day since then. So I thought, well, gosh, really, I have all these questions. I have all these needs. As a new homeowner and had just sold my house and just moved in and right before Christmas, trying to put everything together and make Christmas come together for my family in my new home in a matter of 3 days before Christmas. was by myself was hard, and I didn't even have a realtor. I didn't know whether I got a good deal. I didn't know anything. I just knew that I was on my own. I felt like I was dumped off. And so that began my journey in real estate. And I had always, as a little kid, loved real estate and thought it was really neat to look at architecture and floor plans and designs and decorating. But I realized that there was so much more to real estate when that happened. And so I decided that I was going to figure out a way to get into real estate so that I could help people like I wished I was helped. So that is how I got started in real estate.
So a lot of people are going to listen to this and go, there's so much misinformation. There's so many things going on. What is your interpretation of the NAR settlement? Because people just hear NAR. It's like everything has a buzzword. NAR, you're a socialist, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat. What does NAR mean to you? And how does that affect your clients or people who would work with you potentially?
Well, I think that there's those buzzwords, NAR and commissions and changes in the industry. And, we're fast forwarding, now 23 years, and I've experienced the real estate market through that time. And realistically, as an agent and as the consumer, you really didn't know anything about NAR other than you had to be a part or a member of NAR in order to be a realtor.
And just to interrupt, NAR we do acronyms all the time.
Yes,
and if you're not in the business, NAR is the National Association of Realtors.
So the National Association of Realtors was just this mandatory thing that you had to be a part of that was supposed to help support realtors nationally. That's really all it was, right? Yeah. And that's all we knew for, I can say, 23 years now. But fast forward, now all of a sudden, NAR is, suing and being sued and all these different things going on. Yes. And then, of course, the media does what the media does so well lately, is takes little bits and pieces and tries to digest it and spit it back out to get ratings and viewings and that sort of thing. So there's so much misinformation. And I think the number one thing that I'm asked right now is what's really going on in real estate between the interest rates and between, these rumors of a lawsuit of whether you have to pay commissions or who pays commissions. It really doesn't matter. When it comes down to it, what really matters is the relationship and the trust that you have with the professional that is going to do the job for you. This National Association of Realtors and all these lawsuits and all this, it is, in my opinion, a big ploy for a bunch of attorneys that are making multi-millions of dollars. I think of it as, I remember when the market crashed and all the banks like Bank of America and all these big banks were doing these class action lawsuits for all these fraudulent things. And I was absolutely blown away by when I participated in a class action lawsuit, seeing the hundreds of millions of dollars these attorneys are making. And I'm not anti-attorney by any means. I'm against the principle of utilizing or taking something out of context and making a case out of it to line your own pockets. 100%. And that is truly what I think is going on here with the whole lawsuits and everything, because the consumers that were affected, that were part of this lawsuit, are not getting hardly anything. The only people that are making money from this is the attorneys. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
Of course.
So I will call out National Association of Realtors for the entity that is supposed to be helping support and protect agents and help the consumers from not doing exactly what they are supposed to be doing or what they were meant to do initially.
So as a consumer,
Yes.
I'll play the consumer. I'm coming to you to either buy a house or sell a house. What do I need to know?
Well, that's a great question. So, depending on what you're doing, we would sit down and have a conversation as to what your goals are.
I
Because
want to just buy a house. I'm a first time home
just
buyer.
want to buy a house.
Yep.
Where do you want to be? Is this short?
Chandler.
Okay.
Just
So
making
you want to
this-
buy a home in
Yes.
Chandler, Arizona.
ma'am.
You work in the area. You have friends in the area. You want to plant your seed there, right? You
Yep.
plant your flag, as I like to say. Plant your flag. This is where I want to be, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, perfect. Have you spoken with the lender to see where you're comfortable?
This is why I love this girl. This is why I want her on, because she just get pre-approved people.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I
The
digress.
First thing, you've got to be comfortable with what you can afford
Yes.
versus what you want to pay. There
Yes.
is a difference, and a lot of people think that they can't even afford to buy a home. They think that they're going to have to come out of pocket with so much money. And because, as you know, there are so many different loan programs, I'm going to push them to talk to a professional that does that, exactly that, because there are so many options out there. There's so many loan programs. There's so many ways to structure things that are going to maybe even educate and benefit the client that they're not even aware that is possible. And I can say that going back to what I did, I went and I thought, oh, this is great. I'm buying a home. Here's the deal. I didn't know that I could interview different mortgage brokers. I didn't know the difference between a mortgage broker or a banker. I just went to a buddy who basically
Did loans.
did loans.
Right.
And I expected that, and maybe that was my fault, I expected that my agent who said, hey, go get your pre-approval. That's all she said.
Right.
I said, okay, great. I got a pre-approval. I didn't know. I didn't have a good faith estimate to tell me, okay, this is what it's going to cost you for this loan. I wasn't given any options either as to all the different programs. And nobody told me what to ask or, helped guide me through that process.
Sure.
So finding, first of all, a great realtor, and secondly, a great mortgage broker, preferably. There are some good mortgage bankers, but some can do both. And that way they can educate you and take the time. If you have some credit blemishes, that you get the time to fix those things to help put you in that best possible loan program so that you feel confident going forth into your purchase. That is the first step.
Yeah.
You've got to be confident with what you've got going in. And I have people tell me all the time, on a side note, oh, well, I've got to pay off all of this, that, and the other
Right.
before I can afford to buy a home. And then I'm going to save money. That may not be the case. That may not be the best route to go. There may be a better way, and having a professional that's going to take the time and guide you through that process is going to be advantageous for you to be set up for success.
Love that. Also, too, and to be fair to everybody in the industry, things have changed over time. There was a time when a realtor said, hey, this is so-and-so. He's my guy. Go over there. Well, there's options now. There are times when retail is what you might consider what you talked about. A great place to go when you have this to be quote-unquote vanilla client is everything's in line. Now you have, which we're dealing with now, is the oddballs who have their self-employed, maybe have this issue, maybe they want to refi or they want to do this. And you go, wow, what am I going to do? I can't send them to John over here because he only does this type of loan. So having both of those relationships, we don't want to shit on people because there are places for both of those.
Right.
A broker really acts as a guy who has access to all the lenders. When you go to retail, you got your price. This is what it costs. You go to a broker, it's like, well, I can get it done, but it's going to cost you this much. And here's how it's going to work. So there are places for both. So right now we're seeing the rates have went down. We're expecting another cut in September. I think it's 18th. Could be wrong. Don't quote me. But September there's another rate cut. What would you tell those buyers who are sitting on the fence? Because there are people who are well qualified who are going to be able to put in really good offers, and you're sitting on the fence waiting for this September cut. You're going to get priced out to market. What would you say?
Potentially.
Sure.
Everything has been in limbo for the last year, as you know, because we've been promised all these rate cuts multiple times over. And traditionally, what we've seen over all the years is that in election years, interest rates go down. No presidency wants to leave their position with higher interest rates than necessary.
Rates are 10%. Vote for me.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, it's laughable, but it's
true.
true.
Right.
It is so true. And so you've got these consumers, people who want to buy,
Yes.
waiting, sitting on the fence, going, well, I don't really want to do a 3-2-1 buy down or a 2-1 buy down or a 1 year buy down. I don't want to do this. I just want to get straight into, so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to, hold out, and I'm going to keep paying my $2,000-$3,000 a month in rent that goes to nothing. 100% interest, if I do say so myself. I think that, yes, I get it. I get the fear of paying too much or your payment being too much. And I think more so that we have so many people who have already bought, and they bought at the low interest rates, the 2s, the 3s, the early 4s, and they have their rates locked, and they're going through life. We are all going through life, and life changes. Myself being basically an empty nester now, my husband and I were like, we're great. We're locked in at 2.99. Now everybody knows my interest rate, right?
So, Michelle's not a candidate, so get her off the call list.
Right? So we are in that sweet spot where we don't want to, as does most people who want to sell or are considering selling for whatever purposes. They're like, well, why would I go and sell and get rid of my good interest rate to go into a double that interest rate? Let's say 6s, 7s, whatever the rates are now. I don't even know. I always just defer that to my mortgage broker. But as far as why would I go and look at putting myself in that position? So as a seller, it's a pause. We're waiting to see, just like the buyers are waiting to see. So that's why you don't see a lot of activity in the market right now. So, and I know many people are just like us for different reasons. Maybe they're not empty nesters. Maybe they're wanting to retire. Maybe they're wanting to, add to their family, but they're just like, whoa, we can't afford to get a bigger house because we're not going to be able to afford the new interest rate and the new payments. And so the best thing that I tell people is that people are either interest rate driven or they are purchase price driven. So when interest rates are low, you're okay with paying a little more for a house because your payment is what's guiding you. If you are purchase price driven, and that is your, like, I'm not spending more than $500,000 for a home, but the homes are at $600,000 and you're waiting for the purchase price to come down, you may be waiting a while. Yes, purchase prices have come down some, which we've seen that across the board, but not for all homes.
Sure.
Not for all homes. Those homes that are selling for less than list price are oftentimes homes that need some work. I still get properties that are selling at full list price or sometimes even above right now if they are clean and move-in ready, because we still have an influx of, just from California alone, over 500 people per day moving to Arizona from California.
Wow.
We have more coming from Washington and other states as well, but we just have so many people moving here from California that it's unreal. We used to, and I know this because my ex-husband used to work in marketing for what was called the super pages. It was kind of like the yellow pages for businesses.
Yes.
You could always go to the super pages and find the businesses, and it was owned by Verizon. And I don't even think it's around anymore.
Not
I'm
sure that's around. Yeah.
So he did all that research as part of selling to businesses, advertising on the super pages. And at that point, this was probably 15 years ago, I'm guessing, it was 500 per day moved to Arizona total. And 200 would move out for different reasons. So we had a residual of 300 people. That was a normal growth. And now that's just California. And of those Californians that are moving in, not even 2% are moving out.
So let's say I'm listening to the show, I'm renting. Let's say I'm paying $2,500, which is the national average in Arizona, $2,200 to $2,500. Mm-hmm. And I want to buy a house. If they're listening to you talk, what besides getting pre-approved, what other things would you recommend they do?
Definitely talk to, obviously the lender, but talk to a realtor and interview realtors, because not all realtors are the same. There are those realtors.
Thank you, Michele.
There are those realtors out there that are just there for a paycheck. There are
Yes.
those realtors out there that aren't going to support you and guide you and go the extra mile to make your experience a smooth or relatively smooth one, because things do come up. But you want to have that confidence and that trust in that realtor that is going to be able to guide and navigate when those roads do get rocky, because it does happen from time to time. Not always, but when it does, are they going to answer their phone? The number one thing is, how many realtors do you know answer their phone?
Yes, sure.
And if they don't answer your phone, let me continue with that.
Yes.
If they don't answer the phone, let's just say that they get back to you within the same day or within the next business day, because potentially they could be with clients like myself. I don't answer my phone when I'm with somebody. I want to make sure I'm giving one-on-one time. I'm going to focus on your needs. I'm going to focus on how I can support you, whether it be in a real estate transaction, whether it's special time with my kids or my husband. I want to make sure that each person knows that they've got me present, and that way I can carry that into whenever you're having a transaction. I don't have to remember, okay, now what was this person doing again? What was that person doing? Because I've got so much going on and I can't keep it straight. Even for the ADD in me, I can still keep that straight because I focus intently on everything that we talk about. Love it. That I can be of full service.
Okay. So we've been talking business all this time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your family and your goals. Give me, after you talk about your family, I want you to give me your business goals for this year and your personal goals.
Okay.
Because we only have 4 months left, and then it's 2025.
124 days from today.
Shit. Do not talk about politics. That's so freaking toxic. Talk about you and your family, and then your goals, personal and professional.
Okay. Yeah. So Nick and I were talking today when we were doing our podcast, the Get Real podcast, talking about
where can people
real. We talk about real estate, but we also talk about real life events, real life things that homeowners or aspiring homeowners are going through, how we can connect community members with their local business owners so that you can build those partnerships and have that support system in and around your area. Because I feel like a lot of us have fallen away, or we feel disconnected, and we dive into maybe social media thinking that is going to bring us that connectivity, and that really doesn't. There's still a void there that isn't met by social media versus having a actual conversation, actually getting to know somebody. So I think that for me, that is important, first and foremost. So that's why we started this podcast. And sometimes we joke around, we talk about real shit. We talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of our little, thing that we just, we kind of laugh about because it sounds, probably real unprofessional to say, cuss word, but it just, when it really hits home, when you're talking real shit, it really means you're talking about something serious and like, hey, we need to dive into those things so we can help each other out and come together. So
Absolutely.
that's the purpose of the podcast, Get Real Podcast. Plug, hashtag Get Real Podcast.
All right.
So there's my shameless plug. But that is why we started the podcast, is so that we could help people, because there's such a need for connectivity, especially for homeowners that get left or abandoned. Did you know, fast fact, that 80% of all real estate agents do not follow up with
yes, I do know.
their
Trust
clients
me.
after?
I'm like, let's see your database. They're like, what's a database? I'm like, here we go.
Right. And
Trust
I've
me,
been
I
guilty.
believe that.
I've even been guilty, even with my horror story, of not following up the way I want to or should have, or,
True
not to
fact.
woulda, coulda, shoulda. But I have even been guilty because you get so busy and you get caught up,
You
because
get
life
transactional.
happens and you do become transactional.
Instead of building relationships, it's all about building relationships.
Right. And so I think that this, what I call the reset, the last 2 years, is helping agents like myself refocus on making sure we get back to the basics. What does it really matter? Where have I fallen away from personally from giving the best possible service to my clients? And so that is the value that I've gotten out of these changes in the market, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
So tell me personal and professional goals as we
Personal
wrap
professional
this
goals.
conversation up.
Yeah. So my personal goals is to help at least 24 more homeowners or home sellers buy or sell real estate by the end of this year. And the reason why that's so important to me is because I feel that with all of this craziness, and like you had said, that these interest rates, these people sitting on the fence, they're going to get pushed out of the market if they might be on the fence too long. And so I want to help educate and support and be there for anybody who wants to buy or sell, or needs, has those fears of, well, what if I sell my house and I have no place else to go? Well, guess what? That's what I do.
All right, so I'm going to push back a little bit
All right.
on you, because that's a business goal. That's how you make your money. Give me a personal goal, your family, your husband, maybe your children.
Yeah.
I see what you do online. I know you lost a pet recently, or
Yes.
you had an issue with a pet. Maybe you didn't lose a pet, but you had an issue with one of your pets.
Capone passed away. He's
Okay.
our Cane
There we
Corso.
go.
That's my husband Doug's baby. So it's been really tough. And then
Sure.
we did get a boxer puppy a year ago.
Boxers
after
at work, man.
They are.
Yes,
but
they're a
we
lot.
had lost our 2 boxers, Roxy and Whiskey, and so after a year after Whiskey, the younger one passed away from cancer. We, took the time and we did get a boxer puppy, and unfortunately, we are dealing with a very unique boxer. I found out more and more that not all boxers are the same. I always thought that they were just so easygoing and fun-loving.
Oh, boy.
I've got the what we call the Sour Patch Kid of boxers right now. Her name is Duchess, and she is true royalty in her own mind, and she has a dog aggression, and she's hyper reactive and hypersensitive to other dogs or sudden sounds, different things. And I've just never dealt with that before. So this has been something new, to the point where before she went from loving Capone and cuddling with him and everything to attacking him. And then we would get hurt by breaking them apart, and
Sure.
we didn't know
You
how to
break
deal
them
with
out into
it.
dogs,
We've
yeah.
dealt with all. So fast forward, now Capone is gone, so she's the only dog, and we're trying to bring in, our dog trainer to help us introduce pets and get her to calm down and to do all the things. And she's slowly doing better.
So personally,
But,
just
man.
getting the house together, some satiety, if that's a word.
Right.
Tell me professionally, 4 months out, what would you like to see happen?
Well,
Positive, and I say that because this fucking election. Can I
I'm
say
over
that?
it.
I'm so over it. Like, everybody hates each other. Everybody's blocking each other. And none of this shit matters. It
united we
matters-
stand. In 9/11, we all came together as a
coming in
country.
a month.
Right.
Next
it is.
month.
It is. And this will probably air around that time.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly where I was when it happened. And I remember
How did you feel?
I remember feeling like this is not really happening. But I was in a carpool on my way to work at what was then Quest. It's now CenturyLink.
Yeah.
On 20
I'm
East
dating
Thomas.
myself. I know
right?
Quest.
I was working for the phone company in sales, and we were on our way there, and I remember going, "This isn't really happening." I'm listening to Crazy Kid and Reuben on the radio, and
Yeah,
for
she-
those
they
of us
knows
who
that.
are
The
wanting
older
to,
knows Crazy Kid Reuben. Yes.
all us Gen Xers, we know Crazy Kid and Reuben, right? And fondly, that's, who we would listen to in the morning on our way to work. And,
Yeah.
when we're jamming out, until 10 a.m., whatever we were doing that day. And just remember being in shock. And we just looked at each other, us in our carpool, like, is this
it.
real? Like,
Yeah, it's a wrap.
so we get there.
Country's under attack.
We get there to our workplace in, Central and Thomas, and we're going up, and you could see FBI all around on tops of buildings, and we're just like, do we even go in? Do we go back home? What do we do?
Yeah.
And
It
of
was
course,
scary times.
there's so much uncertainty, much like today. It's scary. It's uncertain. And this is when we need to come together even more. We need to be united. This is my personal thing, to really just let people know that if we can just be positive and support each other, even if we disagree. And I don't know your political standpoint. You may or may not know mine. But I will say that it doesn't matter enough to hate each other.
Oh, I agree with that for sure.
It doesn't. I mean, I
'Cause
may
at the end of the
disagree
day,
with
if you.
you.
Understand politics.
I
it
may
really
not-
doesn't matter.
I may not agree with you. I may not. I may be absolutely infuriated with why you think this happens or this doesn't happen or this candidate does this or this candidate. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
What matters is if we don't take a stand for coming together as the United States of America and take pride in the direction our country is going, we will continue to become weaker and we will be under attack. And I know for a fact with all of my veteran clients, they are most fearful, if anything, that is what's going to be the downfall of our country if we end up getting attacked or something else.
Because the country's divided.
Because the country's divided.
All right. So, with that said, give me your business goals and how can people find you so we can wrap this up? Because I could talk to Michele forever, but give me your business goals and where can people find you, your podcasts, all the above. And if they just have questions about buying, renting, whatever.
Any questions?
Sure.
That's my thing is everything starts with a question. And I don't care whether you're looking to buy tomorrow or whether you're looking to buy 5 years from now. Let's communicate. Let's set you up for success because your goals and needs may change. I do probate real estate, and most people don't even know what probate real estate is, but I will say that it is when someone you love passes away. And we dealt with this a lot
Yes.
during
COVID.
the last
In the
couple
last few
years.
yes.
And people passed away, and
Yep.
people didn't know how to handle their family members' assets and what to do and how to do it. And so having someone who has that experience that can help guide you through, whether it be a passing of a loved one, whether it be downsizing, all these life changes. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. And I even put it on my Facebook post today. It was like, ask me questions. What do you want to know? Because I'm going to give you my best answer that I can give you. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go find it. And I'm going to educate myself so that I can help be of best support to you. So my goal is to help more people get answers to their questions. And the vehicle that I do it through is real estate, but that's not all I'm about. I'm all about helping people achieve their goals and their dreams. The vehicle I use is real estate.
Cool. Where can they find you on social media? Everything is on.
Everything, yes. Right? Let's see. Facebook is Mrs. Michele Robbins. Instagram is Michele_Robbins_, and that is Robbins 2 B's and an S. And it is Michele with 1 L. A lot of people still spell my name wrong, and I just, I deal with it because it's been so common. My mom thought I was special enough to just have 1 L instead of 2. And I love that, I'm just get to be unique that way. And I do have a YouTube channel as well, educating homeowners on I have a buyer's academy, a seller's academy, and then I have all these tips and tricks that, if you don't want to bother me and you're up at midnight, because I'm telling you right now, I'll be asleep at midnight. We're Gen Xers, all the things that we used to do after midnight, we're doing, after 4 p.m.
You also have this really cool group on Facebook.
Which one?
Well, it looks like it's a new one because I joined it recently.
Ah, yeah.
Tell me about that group, or
goodness.
What's the name of that group?
Yes, the East Mark East Mesa homeowner community and area, and so what we're doing is bringing together where I actually live is the East Valley, and so bringing together homeowners and small businesses, entrepreneurs that are wanting to connect with each other and support each other. So I started a magazine, and I'm working on building a guide so that I can help collaborate and put these people together. Again, uniting people through real estate and through social to help bring everybody together. That is my thing.
Last question for you. Do blondes have more fun?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
She didn't even hesitate.
Don't even.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you knew me when I dyed my hair as a brunette. I've done it like twice. Two or three times.
Since I know you.
Well, because it's so short-lived, because people don't even recognize me. I actually was at Postino's in Gilbert, and I had one of my best girlfriends at the time walk right past me after, and she knew that I had dyed my hair. She had seen me before, but she didn't even recognize me. And so, of course, my husband and my kids are just like, Mom, you're just a blonde. And, I honestly have to say that I do have a lot of fun, and I'm not going to do it if it's not fun. That's just kind of my thing. And I like to have fun with real estate. I like to have fun with friends and family. And, so that's my thing. Blondes do have more fun. And it also helps cover some of my wisdom highlights that are coming in.
We call those gray hairs for the young folks.
No. We call those wisdom highlights.
Wisdom highlights. All right.
Yes, ones we don't have to pay for except for through hard knocks, right?
True that. All right, everybody. Michele with 1 L and 2 B's on the last name, and she is on Fit Over 40, which is pretty easy to figure out. And we look forward to her. Yep, we look forward to. We'll put all that in the show notes.
Nice.
We look forward to you guys staying tuned. We'll bring a realtor on every month. I hope you gained something from this insight, and support your local realtors as they work hard. This is a non-salary job, and so support your local realtors. They have your best interest at heart. All right, we'll see you next week.